you're backwards.
Hello, Em.
Hi.
Hello, how are you? Are you well? Why are you laughing so much?
All right, I'm going to turn this around. Hello, everyone. How funny is this? Okay.
No.
No, you're still backwards.
So the thing is, right, according to the Freemasons and NASA, right, and the whole globe Earth theory, we're meant to be upside down right now, so everything's fine.
Yeah, everything's fine. Absolutely. I'll just get used to talking to you this way. Oh, this is so funny. I wonder what setting it is that it made it to. Oh my!
No, but we are actually on opposite sides of the planet. So that in theory that's how it was. And when I used to watch Neighbours and Home and Away as a kid, I always pictured the people walking around upside down.
Oh my goodness, how funny! Well, your dreams are coming true in one interview.
Now, what I'll do, I'll quit messing around now. I don't want to burst anyone's bubble over here, so I'll flip it back the right way. And I'm so sorry. I've got this warped, crazy sense of humor.
No, it's great. I mean, I was like, hey, we'll make this work.
But it's gonna get people thinking. It's gonna get people thinking, isn't it? It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So at the end of the, how has your day been? You've only just woken up.
I woke, so it's 7 a.m. here, but I woke up a couple of hours ago, so I'm okay.
Emmy, it's like, it's 6 p.m. over here in London time, and thank you for facilitating the test call, because I didn't sleep properly because I was worried about this interview more than any other interview, you know. And
oh wow.
Yeah, because the distance between us, I was thinking about how many exchanges and servers and all that, all that stuff. And then the whole upside down thing as well. What if Emmy's upside down? Then, you know, I thought, you know, because it's like the Lost Boys, isn't it? Like a vampire but hanging upside down.
Oh my. Buddy.
You've been very busy, like, you know, with all the radio interviews, and I'm looking at your repertoire, right, of music. It's like, you don't mess around, man. You got more. It's your releases. Is it like 22, 21 songs or something?
Yeah, and there's about 50 more that I haven't. Yeah, I love music, and I just love doing what I'm doing. So as long as people listen, you know, it could just be my parents, or it could be some friends, or it could be people I don't know. It's a compliment that someone would choose to listen to my music when they have so much great stuff out there. So yeah, I feel really honored to be able to do what I love.
Absolutely superb. That's brilliant, Emmy. So the thing is, so would you say that you are doing your purpose in life, then you are fulfilling it?
Yes, absolutely. It's not just to do music. I mean, if I'm honest, it's about giving people love, hope, and encouragement through music. And that's something that I really feel called to do. And so that motivates me, you know, even when things are tough. It goes beyond just writing music or singing a melody or performing. I go for that 1% or 2% of people that are really needing that message of hope. And I focus my energy on that for sure.
Absolutely superb. See, I first heard of you. Rob sent over Some Other Girl. See, and so the message behind that. Can you tell us more about the message behind that, and tell us more about that track?
Sure. And just a shout out to Deuce PR, Rob, who's our mutual friend. Thank you, Rob, for believing in me, and appreciate you sending my music out. So Some Other Girl, I wrote that with a friend of mine here in New Zealand, and it was all based on kind of some journals of mine as a teenager. So I don't know if anyone out there is familiar with, you know, keeping track of your life when you're in high school, but I certainly wrote a lot of my thoughts down, and of course, like most people, had my heart broken. And what I wanted to do was write a song that wasn't just about heartbreak, because, you know, that's a common theme, but I wanted to sort of touch on how you can become the person you're meant to be through heartache, because I think I wouldn't have become a songwriter really had I had things maybe be easy or simple with love. It just was a way for me to get through kind of different things. So I wanted to encourage girls and guys that no matter what they face, when you go through hard times, sometimes it's just what you need to kind of shape who you're meant to be. So I wanted to kind of focus on the positive side of things about empowerment and self-identity and self-love, which I find very important, especially now.
Wow. Um, wow. What was your first track that you ever recorded?
Wow. The first track I ever recorded, I think, might have been when I was in a jazz choir in high school, and it wasn't. It was a cover, I think, an Etta James cover, and that was probably my first experience in the studio recording. But I think in terms of a song that was mine, that I had written, I had the opportunity to record a song at university, and a friend had some studio time, and she was a recording artist herself, and she said, "Oh, do you want to go into the studio and record one of your songs?" And I was like, "Really?" I was about 18, and so I recorded a song called "Never Change," and the guitar is awkward on it, and it's a very raw recording, but just I think hearing it back, as I'm sure anyone that's listening now, the first time you ever hear your vocals or your guitar, anything you've written back for the first time, it kind of opens up your mind to this is a possibility. And so I think for me that meant a lot, because I just kind of didn't know that you could really do that. If that makes sense.
But did you have family in music?
Not necessarily in music. I mean, my mom's always has sung, and she's got a great voice, but she would just do it around the house and at church. And my dad, loves to sing, and although he's quite funny, he's like he loves country, so he'd always be singing these, little diddly. So, and my
That's funny.
Daryl. Yeah. So, but my grandparents were really into music. So my birth grandmother, who unfortunately passed away when my mom was only 18 months old. So I never had the privilege of meeting her. She was like 6 foot tall and an opera singer, and just an amazing singer. And she met my grandfather, and he was going through medical school, and he was playing the stand-up bass.
Yes.
and singing. So both of them music was a huge part of their life. And then when she passed away, my mom started playing the piano. And so, yeah, there's music, but not necessarily professional musicians in the family. And then my dad's family also does, they play the fiddle and the washboard. And so at family reunions, everyone would be doing a little jig singing. So,
wow,
so, yeah.
That's amazing. So how tall are you?
How tall am I?
Yeah.
I'm only 5. I'm 5'8". I'm not as tall as my grandmother was. Although I wish that I had been. That would have been quite cool.
Wow. Absolutely superb. You've had a very interesting life in terms of geography, in terms of where you've lived: Oregon, Seattle, New York, Cali, and then California, and then settling in New Zealand. So how did all that come about?
Yeah, so I grew up in Oregon, and as soon as I was old enough to go to university, I moved to Seattle and lived there. And then I went on after I graduated early, because all I wanted to do was see the world. I wanted to go backpacking. I had only been on the plane maybe twice in my life, so I was really motivated to finish early. So after that, I got a job with the Missoula Children's Theater, and I went on tour for a year all over America. So I think we went to 33 different states that year, just going in and doing performing for kids and doing shows with them. And then I settled in San Diego, and then I went to LA and did music and performing arts, then New York. And then I flew to Australia in 2007 to do some work with a friend of mine who had a company there. And that same friend, about 3 years later, invited me to New Zealand, and we fell in love. And we got married right away, and had kids right away. And then I don't know if you're aware, but
I read.
So basically moved here, and then had got everything happened very fast. And then unfortunately he was diagnosed with small cell lung cancer. So in that time, I was his caretaker, and we also had our little girls. Sophia wasn't even 2 yet. So 2 and 3 year old. And then about 18 months later, he had terminal status and he passed away. So for me, music has also been kind of like the way I get through things. So I have a lot of material to work with. Yeah. But the good news is that life does get better and you get through it. And I'm really focused on that, Dav, is that, I don't deny that life is hard and it can be tricky, but I think it's our reaction to things that is purely our own. We can't control things that have happened, outside of us, of course, but we can control our attitude and our reaction to things. So I really try to stay as positive as possible, even when it's difficult.
I read through your biography, and I wasn't so sure whether to ask about Tony, rest in peace. So I wasn't sure. So I'm glad you've raised Tony yourself. Rest in peace, Tony.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
It's okay because wow. So as a presenter, it's just I wasn't sure. So I thought thank you for Right, I heard that you are also you're a more professional presenter than me. Is that right? So
no, I'm not.
Yes, you are on the heart of indie radio. So you with the Eddie and Emme show, and you don't make all the mistakes and do all the dodgy cock-ups that I do.
Oh, we have both Eddie and I have done our share of. We've had some really funny times when we're doing the show, as because things just kind of happen. There's like technical glitches or there's like stuff that comes up that you weren't expecting. And so I've learned to just kind of roll with the punches. And he calls me the giggle box. And the reason is, you hadn't noticed, I do love to laugh. And it is something that's just kind of, even when I'm trying to be, super serious, it just giggles kind of come out. So, yeah. Like now, I can't. I just say the word giggle, and I'm like, whoa.
What? We've got a message come up. Is she American? I said New Zealand on the chat. Oh, so what do you class yourself as?
Oh yes, so I'm that's fine. I'm a dual citizen of both America and New Zealand, and that's a great question. I was born in America. That's true. Hence the American accent, but I moved to New Zealand about 11 years ago, and I became a citizen, and I consider New Zealand my home, although my parents still live in America, if that helps. Yeah.
There you go, Priya. There you go. You got yourself an answer there in a very cool accent. So
hello, Priya, to you.
Brilliant. So I got a message. Claire's listening in, right? And she said, why, right at the start of the interview, because you don't want to put the camera upside down. Because
what did she ask? Why did you what?
Yeah, why? Basically, why did I put the camera upside down to basically... Lord Mantio, loving the interview. What a positive and strong lady. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
That's lovely. So basically, at the start of the interview, right, what did I do? I said, you're meant to be upside down. I'm meant to be upside down. According to the theory. According to
the theory, exactly. But what's funny, Dav, is that you didn't tell me. So I wasn't in on the joke. So if people are looking at it going, oh, that's a shtick they came up with. No, I was literally like, uh-oh. He was concerned about us having technical difficulties. How do I tell him that I actually can see him upside down?
I had to do it. I had to do it.
Yeah, I know, it's great. All day long, I'm going to be like this.
Because, I was thinking about it last night. I was lying down. I was thinking, is there something that flips the signal that isn't? I go, because it's binary, it's ones and zeros. It's modern tech. And I thought, well... At the end of the day, I know someone who's going to get very, very wound up by the fact that I did that. And very, very wound up when he's going, Dav, you've been messing around now, haven't you, live on air? And you're trying to disprove our theories. It's time to bump you off. So disprove. I run counter to the narrative. So you are very successful. What you do, top the Australian radio charts with Some Other Girl. Right, which is on steady rotation, and MTV Australia, and climbing the charts in America and the UK. How do you feel about success? You seem like a very, very grounded person. You don't seem arrogant and uppity in that.
Yeah, I think I just feel happy that people want to listen to my music, and that's in the purest form. For me, I define success maybe a little bit differently than other people. I look at it as we are all globally connected, and music brings us together. I feel like music is like the glue, and we get to share things with each other virtually now, right? Because we're a lot of us can't go and be with loved ones or friends, and listeners have become my friends. I think I always say global family. Like, I think of everyone as we are interconnected, and so I think with that in mind, anything that I get a chance to share, that I have the privilege of sharing, it's an honor when people take the time to listen, and not only that, but interact with me. Like I said, there's lots of great artists out there and lots of great music, and I'm just one of many that is out there, and I appreciate any support that I get. That to me is successful. Yeah.
I would say, wouldn't that stems from that also shows in your radio work, because you are actually you pick up and showcase indie artists and spotlight new music as well. Same thing that I do in London. You're doing it
Yes.
in New Zealand, and I think that's absolutely amazing. I think me and you could work together like that as well, in terms of if I find some artists in London, you find some.
Absolutely. And the radio station that I work for is in America, but I do it all from New Zealand. And you've touched on something that's really important to me. And I love the kind of the A&R aspect of what it is that I do. I do search Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I'm constantly listening to artists. And what I find is that it's not just the music that grabs my attention. It's who they are online, the presence. I look for people that are kind and engaging with people, interesting stories. And I really make it my mission to try to get the word out. I feel like Twitter is a really good way to kind of bridge the gap between, two opposite sides of the world. So a lot of times I'll find maybe an unknown artist, and I feel like it's my mission to get the word out on who they are and get as many people to listen to them as possible. And it excites me. Like, it really gets me. I don't know. Sometimes I can't sleep at night because I'm like so excited about, I get to interview this person, and maybe they've just put out their very first song, and they get this great reaction, and they have a following. And I feel like Eddie and I get to be a part of, their story, which is really special. I mean, a small part, because, some of these people have gone on and, we're just in the dust, but we've given them maybe a beginning. And I feel like that's so special, because everyone needs their first yes, or their first engagement, of, hey, I believe in you. And that makes me really excited to be a part of that journey.
I think that's brilliant. That's a brilliant answer as well. It's a very, very good answer. Do you get before the show, right? I don't know how you are as a person, but like, you get like a million phone calls and people hounding you before the show, before you're gonna go live, right? And how do you handle that? All these messages, and someone wants to talk about, oh, my cat's just been sick, or my car's not starting, and can you help me, Dad? I'm like, leave me alone. I've got an interview to do. So how do you handle the pre-show pressure?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think sometimes when I'm doing an interview, it isn't live to air. So it's live in the sense that, I'm asking them questions and they're answering, and we've recorded it. But in terms of it being live to air, that isn't something that I do with the artists very often. But I guess specifically with kind of the jitters beforehand, I do try to answer as many, I try to answer all of them, all the responses prior to the show. And then I always tell people, during when Eddie and I are doing the show, if we happen to miss something, let us know, but it's not intentional. It's just that, maybe I haven't been able to multitask for that second. But I do try to make sure that everyone who does reach out, that they get an answer, and that they feel seen, and everyone's important. And and I appreciate it when people take the time to reach out, and on any level. I think, it's important that we respect people and give them as much encouragement as possible.
You're such a nice person compared to me. It's amazing. I'm the worst.
Although in saying that, I have had some very interesting messages, and I'm always I try to be very kind, especially if there's certain things that are said. I just say, I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts. And at this time, I'm not able to answer the specifics, but I greatly appreciate your time. And I wish you the very best day. That's kind of my PC answer. If I get slapped with like the negativity, I'm like, oh, how can I don't know if I can answer that.
Wow. Do you know piano? So you play piano?
I play the piano and the guitar.
Yeah. Wow. But what did you pick up first?
I picked up the piano first, and I play by ear. So I for those that are classically trained, I'm your worst nightmare. No, just kidding. No, I'm just teasing. I really respect people that read music and that are very, musically, what's the word? Savvy, where they're the technique of reading music is really a skill. So that's something I'm trying to get better at. But when I listen to a song, the first thing I try to do is figure out the melody, and then I try to figure it out on the piano. So the piano was first, and then it was the guitar. And neither instrument I'm not amazing at either one of them. I always say that my voice is my instrument, and I use the piano and the guitar as writing tools. And you know what I mean? Like it's, I wish that I was brilliant at both of them, but I'm not, and I'm fine with that. But I play enough to be able to write music and to perform with maybe another couple of musicians as well. So yeah, just putting it out there. I'm the first one to admit, but I'm not
But you're very humble, and because your music is brilliant, and
wow, thank you. No, that's really sweet.
If it was crap, I'd say it was crap as well. Actually, you wouldn't even be here. There you go. That's people know me for being like that. I'm not nice, so it's just.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just say it straight. I go, yo, that's not coming on my show. So at the end of the day, that's how I am. Rob knows how I am, So yes. He'll send me so many people, and I'll just say pick one, and he will probably think, why is Dav just picked one? But it's suitable for my show, but. Right, so what do you use for singing practice? So do you do all that me, may, ma, and all the rest of that lard, It's the proper exercises in it. Is that what you do as well, every day or whatever?
Well, I've not every day. I mean, I think I've learned to respect my voice. When I was younger, I would just open my mouth and kind of sing, and it was just something that I took for granted. But I had a couple of times in my 20s when I was living in San Diego, where I actually lost my voice, and I was starring as Maria in The Sound of Music, and in a show in close to LA. And it was a really scary time to go, wow, I might not be able to portray this character, 'cause all Maria does is sing. And so I think I learned pretty quickly the lesson of, wow, you must respect your instrument and you must take care of it. And so since then, I won't say that I'm perfect with taking care of my voice, but I'm a lot more mindful that it is a gift, and I do need to respect what God's given me. And that means that, when it was possible, when I had the money to put into training, which I didn't when I was younger, I have now an amazing vocal coach, and I want to give him a shout out. His name is Jay Henry. He's actually based in London. He's done a lot of things with The Voice and on the BBC, and he's just an amazing vocal coach. He also was a backup singer for George Michael, and that's how I met him when I came to London to record Last Christmas and Some Other Girl, and I collaborated with the backup singers from George Michael's band. I met him, and we just formed a friendship, and we've been now collaborating, a few times a month over Skype, and he gives me lessons, and he's taught me a lot about vocal control and things that, I didn't really know prior. And so I'm really thankful that now I'm getting some training, because I hadn't had that before. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, it does. So let's take it a bit further. So would you say, is it Al Clay?
Al Clay is the producer of both Some Other Girl and Last Christmas. the reimagining of George Michael's, and he's amazing. He's also based in London, and I got a chance to work with him on both of these songs, and it was a great experience.
Wow. So formal singing lessons have brought you on, would you say, leaps and bounds in a short period of time?
I would say I definitely have seen an improvement in not only the vocal range, but my focus. I think one of the things that Jay talks about is that, everything is connected. So when you're thinking something, it affects your voice. And I probably separated them before. And he's given me some great tips about, listening to a song and really making your own, especially if it's a cover. Coming up with kind of some new ways of thinking about music. And so I really appreciate working with him. And I know that, it's a privilege to work with someone who's obviously done so much in his life, that when he takes the time to spend an hour with me, I'm like, wow, this is, he always laughs. So I'm always like, I can't believe you were the vocal coach on The Voice and you're working with me.
I think there's a magic to being around people, around success, world-class level people, because that sort of sets you up to a certain standard, and I think that it's a very, very good thing. So that actual thing that I said, the me, may, ma, so is that actually real?
There are vocal kind of exercises, yeah. And I mean, a lot of it's about breath support, and a lot of them don't, like, you wouldn't, it's funny. He always says in the first thing in the morning, then instead of just singing, humming is a really good way to warm up your voice. And so, and chewing gum or drinking tea, just things to kind of loosen, because when you are asleep, obviously you're laying flat, and everything of that day before is kind of in there, and then you kind of work on opening it up and warming up the vocal cords. So yes, there is a little bit of a me, me, mo.
You ain't messing about, man. You're proper. I love it. Got a message saying she's beautiful and strong, Dolly Holly. So yeah, brilliant. And a picture of a bicep. So which is good. Yeah. which is absolutely brilliant. Wow. That threw me off, the message did. But okay. So last Christmas. So that's your latest one. You've just got it done, haven't you?
Yes. So Last Christmas came out a couple of weeks ago, and that was a great experience. I mean, yeah. People have asked me, how did that come about? And it's kind of one of those things where it was sort of a whirlwind experience, where I was given the opportunity to work with them, the backup singers, and they're amazing people in their own right. I mean, not only have they been backup singers for George Michael, but they've done lots of things in their careers, and phenomenal people, and they're very, very kind-hearted, and they really made me feel so welcomed in the studio. And I think that was what added to the magic of that moment with them. We all really love George Michael, and we kind of came together really wanting to honor him. And I really hope that, in some small way, I was able to do that with kind of the reimagining of the song.
Yeah, of course. George Michael, rest in peace.
Yes, absolutely.
Ice cream and alcohol being a singer. So have you been told, avoid alcohol, it dries up your throat before you sing, and avoid ice cream because it'll give you indulgent mucus?
Yes, so dairy, definitely. I've been told to, and with alcohol, yeah, it's a drying agent. I think people have different opinions for different reasons on stuff. I mean, I think the reality is every voice is different, and so I think we all kind of learn, what not to do, and you only have to learn that a couple of times, and then you go, oh, okay, that's probably not a wise choice. So I try to pay attention to what my voice is doing for the day, and yeah, try to just take care of it.
Brilliant. You made a Spanish version of Oxygen. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that was a great experience. I recorded the vocals here in New Zealand, And then I think I also I'm pretty sure it was like there was an amazing woman that I met through some music folks in LA. And she's like a comedian, and she also, she translates, American music into Spanish music. And I also worked with a friend of mine who's also Spanish speaking to basically, yeah. And it's interesting because I had studied Spanish, just talking to people. But when you sing in another language, it's a whole other thing. It was challenging, and I really loved it. I loved not, kind of going in there and going, wow, I don't want to mess this up, because, if you say the wrong thing or pronounce it wrong, you could really offend people. So there was a few earlier translations that were quite literally exactly what I'd written as, English version of Oxygen. But it just, when you changed it, it kind of was like, oh, that's not quite the right word. We're going to change that. So, yeah.
Would you say I regularly will translate from Punjabi, which is my mother tongue, to English?
Yes.
Could you lose anything in translation? Does that make sense? Is that a weird question?
Yes, you can, because I think there are certain words that mean so much in English, and then the translation, it doesn't quite, and vice versa. So that the challenge is to be able to get the message across that you want, but be willing to sacrifice certain things, artistically, I guess is what I mean. Because really, at the end of the day, you want it to sound nice, right? Because you want people to listen, but you also want to be able to honor the language. And so it was kind of a balancing act of doing that. And I'd love to be able to sing other songs in other languages. It's not necessarily a skill set that I have, but I like the challenge of being able to reach people in their native language. I think what a privilege that would be to be able to get better at that.
Wow. One question I've got to ask you. Over here, Boris Johnson, right? What he's done is put us into tier 4 in London. So how are you coping with lockdowns over there? And what is there a lockdown situation over there, and how is it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to just say to you, Dav, and everyone else in the UK that, my heart really goes out for you guys, and I really feel for you. I know that it's been a really hard year for everyone on different levels, but I think in particular, I know you guys have gone in and out of different lockdowns and different levels, and the uncertainty of kind of knowing, what to do. And I really feel for you. Yeah. In New Zealand, we had 2 separate, very, very strict lockdowns. One happened kind of in the earlier days of the COVID pandemic. And our prime minister, kind of through some advice of other people that had been going through it in other countries, I think she kind of looked at it and went, okay, if I don't do this now, if I don't close the borders and basically put us into a very strong lockdown now, that it will just spread, because we're a very small country. And we're a small country that lots and lots of people, of course, are visiting all the time, because it is so beautiful. So the first lockdown was pretty strict. I mean, it was very strict. It was level 4. And I'm not sure how all the levels work with other countries, but our level 4 was basically everything was shut. You did not leave the house unless, you needed to go and get groceries. And in that case, one person from the household with, a mask and gloves would go into the grocery store, get what they needed enough for that week. So they really encouraged people to not overbuy, because of course that causes a panic when that happens. So, so everything was absolutely closed. There was no takeouts. There was no, there was nothing like Uber Eats or anything that, I guess you'd be able to normally have. No. So, and that was actually ended up being, that lockdown, I think, was 6 weeks long. And I could be wrong on that. So I apologize if I'm getting the details wrong, if anyone from New Zealand is listening. But so that was the first one. And then we had another one, must have been 2 months later or a month later. We had another one for about 3 weeks. And so that time it was strict, but they allowed you to order from Uber Eats, I think. And I think there was something else that was open. I can't remember. So those were our two intense times. And then the other thing, Dav, we are doing, and they're very strict on it, is quarantine. So yeah, and it's not a suggestion. It's not like, oh, we suggest you stay home. It's like you get off the plane, and I'm speaking from experience because I had to do this back in October. My mom was unwell, so I flew to America, and then I had to fly, obviously, back here. And you get off the plane and you go straight through customs and immigration and all that stuff. You get your stuff and you go on a bus, and the bus takes you to one of many, what they call quarantine hotels. And you get off the bus. Okay. Yeah.
Quarantine hotel.
You line up. And you go one at a time up, and they give you some paperwork. They check your passport. They say, look, here's your bag, and they put you in a lift, and you're only allowed to go in the lift one at a time. And you have your card, where your room is, and you go into your room, and that's how they do it for 14 days. So I did that recently, and, I think that's part of the reason why they've been able to, that we still have COVID here, but we don't have many cases because, you just can't travel in and out without doing that. So how are we handling it? I think, like everyone, we're trying our best,
So, have you had the whole thing, hand sanitizer and people buying loads of loo roll as well?
Yeah, that was happening here. I don't know about in comparison to other places, but certainly that was happening. Like, I think the first week, I couldn't get hand sanitizer to save my life. Like, I literally was looking at recipes to make my own, because it was gone. And by the way, that did not turn out very well. I did try. And I felt embarrassed because science was always my thing, but I failed. So I wasn't able to make my own hand sanitizer. But yeah, that was out. And then the other thing was masks were running out. So people started making their own. So I think, loo paper sold out. I mean, I think that pretty much every reaction that people had around the world were similar. I think because it is so different than any of us have ever experienced in our lifetime. And so I think it was, everyone was just kind of just trying to figure things out and looking after themselves and their families. And
so. No, but was it a requirement to wear gloves as well? You mentioned gloves.
Not a requirement, no.
But it's,
when you went into the grocery store though, and there was I think for the most part, people didn't really know how you could get it necessarily. This was in the earlier days. I was back in March. There was lots of theories, and you kept hearing things, around the clock about different ways that it was coming about. So I think as an extra precaution, gloves were used. But it wasn't a law, but you had to wear a mask to go into the grocery store.
Wow. So how's Christmas going to be for you then, Emme?
Yeah, I think Christmas is going to be, probably not too different from in years past. I mean, obviously I can't be with my parents this Christmas, but, my family here, things are open, and, we've got, we don't have a restriction in terms of people coming together here. And I understand in that we didn't have that honor of being able to be with people for weeks on end. So my heart really goes out to you guys, because I know that that's something that you're going through right now. And it is sad because it is the holidays. So I think for New Zealand, it's at the moment, things are as normal as maybe they could be the new normal. But in saying that, if there is a community outbreak of some sort, then, we'll be going probably back into some sort of, reduced freedoms in some sense.
Wow. Yeah. But as a presenter, and you're a presenter yourself, you must have noticed a massive influx of music during lockdowns. People picked up their guitars and all that. And yourself as a musician, so is it fair to say that you've been a lot more productive due to lockdown as well?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been writing a lot of songs and I think, and still recording. So I think it's been creatively speaking, I think it's been a very powerful time in our history, of 2020 will be the year where amazing films amazing, people filming things in a different way, right? Because they couldn't come together. I was a part of a project called the Isolation series that Steve Leeds, who's over in London, came up with, or England. And it was all about recording scenes and editing them together so that if you were an actor and I was an actor, we would be doing a scene, but we weren't together. And so it's a brilliant concept. And I'm really proud of him. And we've got Isolation, the series 2, coming out later next year. But those were projects that I think came out of a necessity, and I think people are acting and being as creative as possible in a different way. I think that people have accepted that things are different, and we don't know how long they'll be like that, right? So I think everyone's kind of had to make a choice. We either diversify and find a new way to do what we love, or we don't. And I think for the most part, I've seen people just really creative and collaborating. There's lots of collaborations virtually, which is exciting. So I think for me personally, it's been an exciting time. And I actually wrote a whole song over Zoom with another co-writer in LA. And that was a neat experience, we just were having a jam across, the way. So he was in LA, I was here in New Zealand, and we wrote this song, and then we virtually recorded it as well with another producer. So that song's coming out on the 15th of Jan. It's called Oceanside. And when I hear that song, I think, would this song have come out if we weren't in lockdown?
Good point.
I'm not sure. So I try to look at the positive.
So regarding the remote recording process, so is it like you would record a WAV file and shoot it across, or was it cloud? Was it a cloud sort of thing in Pro Tools, what have you, or how was that done?
Yeah, so there was a couple of things that we did. So a good friend of mine who was in LA that now is back in New Zealand, once we were allowed to, rehearse in person. I'm sorry, my phone is just, can you still, yeah. He actually ran that. So I didn't have to do the production part of it, but we did have a mic, and we actually went into a studio to do the first part of it. And then the next, but in saying that, we were virtually working together. So Greg was in LA, and Dan was here with me, and they were talking over, like they had a couple of different things going on with software where they could share the screen. And it was quite fascinating because, I just was sitting there going, this is amazing how we'd send something across. Even on our iPhones, Greg would send a file, and then through Zoom, we would be like, okay, what I'm hearing is this. And it was this whole collaboration that, I don't know, a year ago, I don't know if that would have happened, at least with something that I've worked on. So that was really exciting. And I have a lot of respect for people that are tech savvy, because now more than ever, we're like, wow, we really need your talents, because it's such a fascinating process. So I don't personally have that talent myself, but I was fortunate enough to have two great friends that obviously were more skilled in that respect than I am. So thank you, Greg and Dan.
Yeah, man, respect Greg and Dan, because so the name of that project coming in January, what's it called again?
Yeah, it's called Oceanside, and it's out January 15th, and I'm really excited about it. It's got a really great nostalgic feel, and and it makes me think of, sunny days with my feet in the sand with no worries, which I think, at times, especially now, we'd love to go back there, right? When life was a bit different.
Hell yeah, you're right. I got a question come through from Harvey. What was the scariest experience that you've ever had in your career?
Wow, Harvey, that's a difficult one. The scariest experience. Okay, I wouldn't say this was scary, but I would say I was the most nervous that I've ever been. I sang live in front of like 4 million people for the V8 supercars. Wow. Like, I'm a huge race car fan. And I got a chance to sing in New Zealand live for not only the people in the stands. I was singing the Māori national anthem, singing the English national anthem for New Zealand, and I sang the Australian national anthem. So the pressure was massive because it was all live, and I didn't do it to a track. A lot of people were like, "Are you sure you don't want to have like canned music in the background?" And I said, "No, I'm going to do this just with my voice, and it either will work out or it will be an epic fail." But I really need, so the amount of pressure that happened when, you know, you've got your inner ears and you're looking out at the crowd and you know that they're televising it to people that, you know, you're never going to even see. The pressure was immense. And so, Harvey, to answer your question, I think in that moment, I really felt like, wow, this could go well or it could go very badly. And if it goes badly, it will be viral. So, unfortunately, it did go well. I think there was one or two comments about they called me the Aussie chick. They said the Aussie Sheila. Who does she think she is doing the Māori, you know, national anthem? That was probably the extent of. So I often say that, you know, the Australian Sheila, which is quite funny since obviously I'm American living in New Zealand. But I would say that was probably the most nerve-wracking moment of my career, where I thought I felt a little bit sick to my stomach. Yeah, but
wow.
Thank you for bringing it up though, Harvey, because as I was telling the story, my heart started racing, and then I was like remembering all the emotions.
You're braver than me. I think if that happened to me, I think I would have buckled. Honestly, that's amazing.
Oh, I think you would have risen to the occasion. You strike me as someone that you would get the job done.
You don't know what was going on in the studio before this interview. I was panicking, and like Claire was like, Dav, do you want to come shopping with me? Like, no, I don't want to go shopping with you. Like, I've got an interview to sort out. I got to get the questions and everything sorted out. Because Dav, we've got enough time. There's 3 hours. I go, no, but I have to be back here. I go, look, I'll come with you to the store. I'll be back. I need to be back here for 4:15. Everything has to be sorted out. And it's just, for me, every interview I do is just a massive amount of stress up until the point where the call starts. And then you're like, yes, everything's gone okay. Harvey sent another question. What is the best holiday you've ever been on? Interesting question, isn't it?
It is a great question. Harvey's like, I think Harvey might be a secret interviewer.
Yeah.
Harvey, do you have your show? Is this what this is coming from? I think the best holiday I've ever been on was I went backpacking through Europe, and I went to Croatia. And I stayed with a host family there, and I learned about their culture and tried to learn the language. And it was the most magical place. I swam in the Adriatic Sea at like 3 a.m, and just lots of really special moments that I still to this day, it was paradise. And I also listened to a lot of the Croatian music, and wow. It's a huge music culture. And so that would have been my favorite time. You know, I've had lots of like moments where I've gotten to visit neat places, but I think that was pretty special.
Wow. Harvey, hope that answers your question. Your favorite food and why?
Thai food.
Okay.
Because I love spice. I love spicy food. Yeah.
How spicy?
Pretty spicy. Very spicy. Like if there's a mild, medium, or hot, it's hot. I'll usually choose that. And I also love Mexican food for the same reason. So I love making both the Thai and the Mexican dishes. When I was younger and I was living in Seattle, I biked everywhere. I didn't have a car. And I would bike once a week to my favorite restaurant. It's a Thai restaurant. And I got to know the owner and his family, and they invited me into the kitchen. Because I came so much, they were like, "Oh, here she is again," and so they taught me a lot of the authentic recipes, and you know, some of them I remember and some of them I don't. But they were like, "You really like your Thai dishes spicy."
Wow. Well, I'm an Indian man, right? And people assume that I can handle a lot. a lot of spice, right? But
Yeah.
I don't. It's just a bit for me. So are you one of those crazy sort of people that goes out and says, I'm going to try the Dorset Naga, this crazy chili, or do you actually chili hunt?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a chili hunter in that respect. I know what you mean though. But I'm up for the challenge of trying, trying the spice. I think for me though, it's about enhancing the flavors rather than shocking my system, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not really into like the self-inflicted torture or anything like
that. Okay, so have you ever lost motivation or hit a hurdle, and how did you deal with it?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. I'm human. I've had a lot of I would say there's been lots of ups and downs in my music and personal life. So there are times when I have felt really like, man,
I'm an idiot.
how much,
I just realized.
like where's the, how long is a piece of thread? Like, where's kind of the ultimate, like a great way to exit gracefully, I have thought about that. Absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, I think one of the things that has been my saving grace has been my faith in God, and also my belief that I have been called to do this. So even though it's not always easy, and it's been all signs have sometimes pointed at absolute failure, I've gone, well, I feel like I can't give up. So that sort of has overridden the feeling of frustration, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I said I'm an idiot for even asking that, because earlier on we already spoke about Tony, rest in peace, and I thought I'm such an idiot for even asking that question about hurdles.
Oh no! But I mean, it is sad, but it's one of those things that has made me who I am now, and if I can help someone else, in any capacity, whether it's to encourage them, or maybe they've lost someone or they've gone through a hard time, then I will help them. And it gives you a lot of compassion and empathy.
Do you go to church?
Yeah. I do. Yeah, brilliant. I do go to church.
Brilliant. So last night I was reading, and the night before, what me and Claire do sometimes, we'll video call each other, and we'll do the Psalms from the King James Version of the Bible. So we'll light a white candle and we'll do the Psalms. So we'll do Psalm 91 for a hedge of protection against evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
wow. Yeah. Psalms are very, very powerful. Very powerful. And I think when we speak, the love of God over our lives and other people's lives, it really is this, like proclaiming, that we can rise above the hardest of circumstances, because we are loved, and we are created with purpose. We are a perfect work of art that God has made us to be. And I really believe that. And I guess you've touched on something that I'd like to just tell everyone that might be tuning in, is that you are loved just as you are. And, you have been created with purpose, and you have been given this opportunity in life to be able to connect with other human beings, and living is such a beautiful thing. It is a gift. So if you're feeling a little bit down tonight or this morning, I understand, and my heart goes out to you, and you just have to live to the next day. Take it one step at a time. Things do get better.
Wow. What I did the other day is like a bit of an experiment. I got Psalm 10 and I put it on the notepad, screenshotted it, changed it to a JPEG, and uploaded it to Instagram. I thought, let's see how many likes Psalm 10 gets of the King James Version of the Bible, rather than some half-naked person, right, on the screen. And lo and behold, I think there was 1 or 2 likes on that on Instagram, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. It goes to show that, what, I don't know, but I just thought Psalm 10 as well. We would use that to also to an tranquil spirit, to get rid of it. So you're probably thinking you're on this radio interview, this video interview to a witch doctor now over here, but no, none at all. But to be under the protection of God the Almighty.
No. I think now more than ever people need encouragement, and I think faith is a very personal choice, and it's intimate and it's beautiful, and I think that at the end of the day, people will want to know more about something that makes them feel good and loved. And I think, everybody in this world is searching for that. Everybody wants to know that they're loved and that they're important and they want to love. I mean, we all have that in common, whether we believe exactly the same things or not. And I think that that's what is so special about the human connection, is that if we can just reach people's hearts, we'll see that we really aren't dissimilar from one another. And I think that that's something that is, for me, that's what gives me peace.
Wow. Deep. Very, very deep. I was going to say, do you have family support in what you do? Like, do your family go on, girl, you're doing really, really well?
My mom and my dad have always been encouraging. And I think that is why that I've continued to be able to do this for as long as I have. They have always shown me their support and their love. And my dad has always been someone that's really talked a lot about, storytelling, of songwriting. And he introduced me to great songwriters early on in my life. And so I listened to, I was 5 or 6, I was listening to Janice Ian, and I was listening to Anne Murray, and, a lot of probably people that weren't necessarily, what young people were listening to. And it really shaped the way that I wrote music. I think just the stories behind it. And then my mom was always, telling me, you can be anything you want to be. So I've had really encouraging parents. And I also, this is a little bit, this is sad, but my mom is doing okay. So she was unwell and I went over there, and then she has just been diagnosed with COVID. So we've gone from, she was unwell, then she got better, and then now she has COVID. And so it's really put it in perspective, this pandemic, because before I was virtually untouched by the disease, in that it had changed the way that we were all interacting, right? But I didn't personally know someone in my own family that had it, and now I do. And so it's been a really interesting time. My mom is still super positive. My parents are just positive people. And, one of the first things she said to me when I was chatting with her, because she's okay. She has like mild symptoms, but she, it's hard to know how this disease works. But she said to me, don't give up. And it was interesting, because having her say that to me, I just feel like even more empowered to do what I'm meant to do. Because here's my mom, who's gone through all this stuff the last few months. And, we prayed together. And then the last thing was, she just prayed over a blessing over my life. And she said, just don't give up. You need to keep going. And I feel like, even when I feel a little bit low and worried, obviously, it's out of my control. And I don't want to give up. I really want to honor my mom's words.
I mean, is she in hospital?
So she was in hospital. She had an aneurysm in her abdomen. So she had to have surgery. So that's like a blood vessel burst in her stomach. So she's then so she was in a coma, ICU. Then she went to a regular stable condition. And then they moved her to a rehabilitation center. So basically it's where there's nurses, not doctors, but nurses, and just trying to get her stronger. And then she had to be rushed back into the hospital, which is where she got, I think, the disease, because it was in one of the wards. That's hard to, it's
Whoa. She got it from being in hospital?
Yes.
Wow.
She did. Are you, sorry, someone was calling me. I lost you.
No, it's okay. I think you're back, then you're gone, then you're back, then you're gone, yes. And you are...
So
back.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but there was an outbreak in one of the wards, and that was the only place that she had been, and that happens. It's no one's fault. It's a tricky disease. I mean, So then when she went back to this rehabilitation center, she started to feel unwell. like, and she told the nurse, and she just said, look, I feel like I have a cold, feel a little bit hot. They took her temperature and did a test, and it was positive. And then they immediately put her into isolation, where she's, she calls it the special ward. So that's where she is now. I've talked to her every day. So I just found out 2 days ago, and it was absolutely a shock.
I've got a message saying, Emme, hope your mom makes a full and speedy recovery. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I'm sorry. I might get a little emotional. My mom's my best.
Sorry for even.
No, it's okay. But like I said, it really gives me empathy for people that have either lost someone to COVID or maybe, I just, like I said, I was sorry.
That's all right. It's okay. So,
but again, I really feel for people that are, the nurses and the doctors and people in the front lines that are all over the world trying to help. My heart really goes out to you. And, without them, someone like my mom wouldn't have a chance. So it's really special.
Come on, Emme, you're going to get me sacked as a presenter, man. I brought you on there. I've made you cry.
I'm sorry. On a lighter note, my mom tells the best jokes ever, and she still is telling me jokes, so that's how I know she's okay. Like, she's just hysterical. She'll like leave me funny messages with a Wisconsin accent. She'll be like, oh, hello, this is your mother, give me a call. Okay. So she's doing funny things like that, so I know she's she still has enough good health to be funny. So
that's as long as you make sure her water levels are okay, that she's well hydrated and drinking lots of water.
Yes, lots of. And she said, she just feels like she has a cold. So she said, look, she doesn't know if that's how it is for everyone, and then it gets worse. It's kind of one of those things where you don't know, but she's doing well with it. Yeah.
For me, I've had a fractured arm. Since March, I've had a fracture in my arm, and the funny thing is, Psalm 10 of the King James Version of the Bible, it says, break the arm of the wicked, right? So I did Psalm 10, and lo and behold, the next day, it happened to me. I thought,
your arm?
My arm, yeah. So
what?
And I've refused to go to hospital. And now you've told me about your mom, how she caught it in hospital. I was right. I was correct. So I thought, I'm not going anywhere near it. I don't want to go to the doctor. I want to self-heal myself, because we was doing this push-up challenge for depression. So you got to do 25 push-ups a day for 25 days.
I've heard of
it. Yeah, yes. So that's what I did it with a fractured arm, and I nominated people, right? Strong guys, right? And I think only one or two of these people did it, and I thought, I've got a broken fractured arm, and I'm doing push-ups. I'm fat compared to you, and you've got no excuse. So I just figured.
Well, you did tell me that you tell people exactly how it is, so I'm sure that you did say that. You were like, "Listen, buddy."
I am. I see. Look, I've made you laugh. That's the main thing, because that's important to me. Because I thought, oh my god, I've got Emme on the interview, and I've got her crying. I thought.
No, like it's just it's a human response, I mean, this isn't about the glitz and the glam. This is about being as real as possible, and I think there's highs and lows to life. So there was some crying and some laughing, and
wow. God bless Emme and her mom. I can see where Emme gets her strength from. Heart with stars in it. That's Claire who would wrote that. So yeah, man, massive respect. So okay, so tell me a funny studio or live performance story.
Oh my goodness, there's been a few. Okay, so I was in LA, and I had a show at a well-known place, and I was a little bit nervous, and a friend of mine who helped kind of pick out the outfit had me wear these really, really tall like high-heeled shoes, which I don't normally wear. And I was like, are you sure this is a good? Oh, absolutely, it totally makes the outfit, they said. I said, okay. So go up on stage, and there's all these, as you know, when you're on in a show, there's, you know, chords coming out of, you know, amps and PAs and, you know, guitars. And I was playing the guitar on 2 of the songs, and then the rest I was just, you know, singing. And so what happened was, I think I had my inner ear cord in, and I think it might have gotten stuck to something on the guitar. You know, it's kind of like one of those things where I never saw a video of it, so I'm just trying to figure out what happened. So it was like kind of hooked on. And what happened was I was singing and I was playing the guitar, and I was already a little bit nervous about, you know, everything working out. I was wearing super tall shoes. Yeah. The edge of the stage was very close to where I was. And I kind of envisioned myself doing like a forward, like face plant. So all I thought about was, no, I didn't do it, but I thought to myself, if I do this, it is going to literally be the worst ever. And that's all people are going to remember. This blonde girl with huge hair, tall shoes, playing the guitar and falling over. So I was like, I can't do that. So the inner ear thing comes out. So I'm only hearing stuff on my right side. And because I'm playing and it's really obvious, I can't take the inner ear and put it back in my ear. So I'm like, okay, I'm struggling to just hear out of one ear. And I'm like, okay, it's all right. We're just doing this. But then what happened was the inner ear bit that was on my left ear went through the guitar bit. So it was like stuck where the chords were. I was like, oh my goodness. And I kind of leaned forward again to try to casually get it out. And I did this little bit of a wobble. And again, I thought, oh my goodness, if I go forward, I'm going to fall off the stage. And again, no one will ever remember anything about the music. They're just going to think this is a comedy show. So I kind of did this like tip. And it was like this moment where it was like, and I came back and the song was over and everyone clapped and I smiled, took out the inner ear, put it back in and thought, oh my goodness, that could have been so different.
Wow. You're lucky. You're
yeah, lucky. I'm lucky. Whew. Again, reliving an experience.
Wow. That could have gone so wrong.
It could have gone so wrong.
Wow.
Lesson learned. Shoes were great. Maybe not the best option for next time.
Wow. So over here, you'll notice this microphone is from Rode Microphones, Sydney, Australia. Right, Rode K2. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the Indian man don't play about, man. So.
Yeah, I know. About your equipment. That's great.
Now, do you have a favorite microphone, or being a singer and all? So tell me.
Yeah. Shure's, was it Shure 7 M7? I think. Shure. SSHURE. Yeah.
Oh wow! So, what is it? Is it like a dynamic?
So it's not even the most expensive mic or anything. It's just
SM57?
really warm sound. It's Michael Jackson recorded a lot of his albums.
I know it. SM7B or something. It's like it's a
black
one.
Yeah, and so I would say I've worked with that one before, and that was an amazing sound. Yeah, I think, and I've also worked with even Bluetooth microphones, or things that are maybe not what's the word? They're not like on the market for vocalists, but I think, yeah, it's interesting how different mics create they bring out certain things out of your voice, which I find really fascinating. Yeah, but I would say that was probably my favorite that I've recorded with.
Is it? I'm sure it's the SM7Bs. But okay, you play guitar, so are you like a Fender or a Les Paul kind of? What do you prefer?
Oh well, so I use Taylor guitars, and because I play acoustic, so I'd love to play electric guitar someday. That would be amazing. But at this moment, I haven't. So I've got a baby Taylor, so that's where I travel. It's fairly easy to take anywhere, and then I've got a life size. I'm just kidding. A bigger size. But my first guitar ever was an Ibanez. And and somebody gave it to me. They were like, oh, this is it, like was dented and everything, but still to this day, it's one of those guitars that I think I wrote some of my best stuff. It was kind of beat up, and so I feel like I gave her a second chance.
Wow.
But
Wow. You seem. I'm just gonna throw this. This could be like a bit of a curveball, but would you be the sort of musician to experiment with different tunings for healing frequencies?
Oh, that's an interesting thing. You mean like with the guitar?
Yeah, like four
Or
A equals 444, A equals 432, solfeggio. You know, these sort of frequencies, as opposed to A equals 440. I know it sounds a bit odd. I'm asking this question,
no,
but
no, it doesn't sound odd. I mean, I definitely would be open to it. I don't know enough about it, but I think to the core, music is healing, and it makes sense that there would be certain, sounds that people would benefit from. That makes sense to me. I just don't know necessarily enough about it to know which ones that would be, but I'd certainly be open to that. I know that there's a couple of artists on Twitter recently that they were doing like a Patreon campaign, and they were specifically wanting to do an album that was about the healing frequencies, like and I found that really fascinating. And so I don't know enough about it, but I think, wow, that's amazing that that's someone's mission. I think that's beautiful. And maybe one day I will know enough about it, and I'll be able to say, hey, Dav, here's a song that based on what you were talking about. Yeah.
What it was, I took time and read one of Jill Matton's books called The Lost Waves of Time. So I studied a bit about healing of sound, but at the flip side, where sound could be used as a weapon. So I think there was an old story, which was Marconi and Mussolini. And I think Mussolini's wife was traveling in a car, and Marconi was experimenting with very low frequencies. And what they did, they managed to shut off all the engines of every vehicle except the diesel engines. So therefore, they couldn't use very low frequencies against tanks. So that was very, very interesting. So I thought, on the flip side, for positive healing, anyway, I'm going off on one. Sorry. But
no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I study in my downtime when I'm not presenting shows. I'm studying the use of sound for healing. When there's the old theory that if different shapes emit different sound frequencies. So Jill Matson in a book turns around and says, should you put an ostrich egg next to somebody with a cracked skull, that skull heals faster. I thought that's very interesting.
Wow.
That sounds mad. So I thought. And you've also got to see, there's a video on YouTube where someone gets a 24 hertz low signal, right, going through a speaker. And what they'll do, they'll get a camera filming at 24 frames per second, and they'll have a hose pipe running water. Now that water will run as steps. It looks like a staircase. That water will, because it's like an optical illusion. So 24 hertz at 24 frames per second. So I know maybe I'm just showing my age over here, but
amazing. What's the video called on YouTube?
If you just type in like 24 hertz water experiment 24HZ,
you don't mind me doing it now, because I don't want to get this wrong. So 24.
You're really interested in this?
Yes. So 24 hertz. What was it?
Water experiment. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. I've got it.
Yeah, so
I like to take notes. I don't want to assume I'll remember. Just there's a lot in my brain, so I just want to make sure I've got that. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. That's cool.
No, it's because I am very, very interested in using sound to heal, and the old scales to do stuff like that. Because my old singing teacher was an opera teacher, and he taught me, John Taylor. Hope he's still alive. That there was a singer, and he knew the frequency to make people all around him fall in love, and he knew.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he knew it, and he had that scale tuned to that, and he took it to the grave with him. And I thought, wow, how amazing is that?
So, that's amazing.
Oi, you're the talent over here. I'm going to be interviewing you.
No, I just my mom just sent me a message from Facebook, so she's saying I feel good today. So I was just like, sorry, I got distracted.
No, I'm on about it's not about me. I'm not important. You're important, and that your mom.
No, you're important. But when I see something from my mom, my heart kind of goes, because I'm, yeah. But Yeah, I really appreciate your time today and for, like chatting with me about music and all the stuff. And I think there's obviously a lot that you're doing that it's really good. Not only are you introducing artists to the world, but you're also, taking time to really chat with them. And I think that that's really cool because it is, kind of gives people a little bit more of a sense of who someone is. And so I really value the time that you've given me, and of course everyone that's tuned in to the interview and taking the time to write questions. I just really appreciate you a lot. And please connect with me on social media, folks, if you want to. It's just under Emme Lentino. I'd love to hear from you. And if you get a chance, you can hear some of my tunes as well.
And make sure you check out her Christmas track, Last Christmas. That's the main thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, Last Christmas.
Some of the girl and go through her repertoire. Thank you so much, Emme. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I don't want you to have any regrets. I should have said this or should have said that.
No, well, I think I've said it. Everyone, love you guys so much and be encouraged. And I'm just one click away. So if you want to reach out, if you're having a hard day or something, want to chat, just reach out. I'm here and I understand.
Thank you, Emme. Psalm 49 and Psalm 50 are the King James version for the healing of your mum.
Thank you.
It's okay. It's okay. God bless
you.
Thank you.
God bless you. Have a wonderful day or evening.
I like that. I like that.
Next time there's going to be a dance off.
I can't. Okay. I think the only thing I'm doing is belly dancing around the place.
All right. Thank you, Deb. Have a beautiful day.
God bless you, Emme.
God bless you too. Thank you so much.
It's all right. Bye from London. Bye.
Bye from New Zealand.
Brilliant.